Hello everyone, welcome to The World According to Masih. This is my podcast where we explore global events through unfiltered conversation with outstanding thinkers and changemakers. Today, my guest is Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya. I know it's difficult to pronounce. The Belarusian opposition leader and political activist. Sviatlana hadn't planned on entering politics, but after her husband was arrested, after he ran for the presidency, she decided to announce her own candidacy. Sviatlana ran on a platform of reform, but it was not fair election because dictator Lukashenko declared himself as the winner. But millions of Belarusians believe that Sviatlana is their president, and many leaders in the West recognized her as the president of Belarus. I call her my sister in arms. Here is our conversation. I'm a troublemaker. When I touch anything, I ruin it.
When life puts you into circumstances where you have to make, powerful decisions, you just do it.
Magic happens when it comes to mothers.
I think in Saul you are 17, in your appearance you are 25.
It has been 15 years, my sister, that I haven't hugged my mom, I haven't hugged my brother, and that's how dictators are trying to break you,
People have never discussed values, they have never discussed, human rights or democracy. We didn't know what it is because we never had the opportunity to compare what is democracy, what is dictatorship. We lived as we could live.
Guess what? I went out, and then when journalists ask me questions, Ms. Alinejad, the sex videos, I said, we're gonna go back home, we're gonna make better one. That's not us. Next question.
To every woman who is watching this, whether you are in Belarus or Iran or anywhere else where freedom is still a dream, know that you are already powerful.
Hey, my sister, how are you today? Welcome to my show.
Hello, Masih. So good to see you. I'm more or less good, keeping our struggle.
But Sviatlana, this is the first time that I don't see a picture. You always go everywhere and hugging a picture of your beloved husband and advocating for him to be free from prison. Finally, he's out. And I really just want to know that how it feels like after years. How many years? And tell me about the feeling. Share every single details with me.
As you know, dear Masih, my husband was in jail for 5 years, and last 2.5 years he was kept in incommunicado mode. So I haven't known anything about him. I didn't know if he's alive. Is he being tortured? What was happening to him? So of course, disaster. It's such painful, not to know what's happening to your beloved. And when thanks to the negotiations between the USA and regime of Lukashenko, 14 people have been released from Belarusian jails, including my husband. Of course, it was huge joy for me. On the one hand, of course, it was so unexpected. It was such a moment of happiness for me. But honestly speaking, you cannot enjoy this moment fully because you still every day think about the rest, at least 1,300 political prisoners who are behind bars. So, of course, you're enjoying this, that our families has reunited, that my children can hug their daddy, be like full family at the moment. But immediately you remember other women who are waiting for their husbands.
My sister, I've been there. You're still talking about others. You're still talking about political prisoners. But I want to tell you that we always carry the burden, the guilt of not seeing other people being free. But this is your moment. And I want you to enjoy when your beloved one are free from prison. Did you really celebrate? I'm being honest with you. When my brother was in prison, I was broken. And then when the moment happened, I was not even able to hug him, but I was like, I have to dance. I have to go somewhere and dance because I did it. So I want to tell you that you did it. So did you celebrate that?
Look, Masih, I honestly, I want to persuade myself that I have to be happy. I have to enjoy this. But honestly speaking, I cannot. It's such a pleasure, to hug my husband, to communicate to him. But keeping, as you say, this burden on the shoulders, you cannot get rid of this immediately. And I'm so glad that my husband, even being so exhausted physically, he went through difficult 5 years. He jumped into this fight together with me, and now like my strength doubled. So I'm enjoying his presence, but also we both, continue this fight. So yeah, I very often even, feel guilty that he's with me and other people, other women.
Yeah,
cannot
what does it call? In my case, when I survived 3 assassination plots, and there were moments that I was like, wow, I'm alive. But my fellow dissidents, my fellow activists, my fellow journalists from Iran, they were killed by the same killers. And then I had the guilt as soon as I saw the children of Ruhollah Zam, one of my fellow journalists, who was kidnapped from France to Iraq, third country, from Iraq to Iran, and they executed him. You know this case. Dictators are all following same playbook. So when they kidnapped him, I felt the same guilt like you're talking. So this is called survivor guilt. So dictators like doing something in our mind that even when we are alive, when we are having freedom, we cannot be happy. We cannot celebrate because we see others are still suffering. Yeah, you're right. Right now, there are more than 1 million political prisoners over all authoritarian regimes. And I saw at the moment that you were carrying the picture of other political prisoner with your husband, and that makes you unique. So tell me about the moment when your husband was exhausted in how you were both talking about, let's advocate for other political prisoners. Tell me about those moments that you said that we're not going to be selfish. We will do this. We will continue our fight for other political prisoners. How many political prisoners are in Belarus?
At the moment, we have at least 1,300 political prisoners in Belarusian prisons, and there was no even a question should we continue or not. It's not a choice. You have your mission, you have your obligation, you have your responsibility. So we are responsible for everyone who sacrificed freedom for better future, for democracy in Belarus. So we just stood together and just going, to continue our fight.
I love the way you say that. This is not like a choice. This is like an action. We must do it. I remember you even said that about the democratic countries, not just people from Iran, me, you from Belarus, others from Russia, China, Venezuela, like some countries in Asia. You always say that from authoritarian regimes, this is our duty. For democracies, you have a well-known expression. You say that this is not a charity. This is your responsibility. This is your duty as well. So tell me how international pressure actually help you and other activists to reach their goals.
I think that democratic society, democratic powerful world really wants to help those who are fighting for changes in their countries, for democracy, but sometimes there are lack of instruments. They are maybe sometimes lack of political will.
Of course, it's what easy. Kind of instrument you mean? Like knowledge, or they don't have what do you mean by instrument?
For example, sanctions. Sanctions is a very powerful instrument, but if sanctions have loopholes, dictators can continue trade with the democratic countries. They use each other to circumvent sanctions. So you have to watch closely these loopholes and close them. But sometimes it's not enough institutions to watch this sanctions evasion. Or, for example, let's take accountability system. We have, and I'm sure you are as well, regarding Iran, you have thousands of evidence of crimes of the regimes. And what's the problem, to in International Criminal Court to start investigation, to start, the case against dictators who are torturing people, who are putting people in prisons, but sometimes maybe it's lack of political will, or so they don't use these instruments effectively, and dictators use this lack of interest.
But Sviatlana, I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes dissidents and activists, leaders from authoritarian regimes, they really like they have doubt of asking democracies to apply sanction. I mean, in my case, let me just give you a better picture. A lot of time when I meet with leaders of democracies, like President Macron, I met with a lot of leaders in Munich Security Conference, and like I met with White House, and a lot of the time they tell me that in other meetings with other activists from Iran, they have been told that sanction is hurting innocent people. So, and that's how they justify. They say that, like, you really want to hurt your people. So the dilemma is like, okay, you either asking the leaders apply sanction to weaken dictators, or you're asking dictators to sanction and hurt your own people. That's why sometimes the hesitation is still there. So, and we have to be really brave enough to say, no, this is the only tool. I am pro-sanction. So did you face this kind of challenges among your fellow leaders and activists from Belarus?
In the context of Belarus, we see the eagerness of our democratic partners, especially Europeans, to impose stronger sanctions on Lukashenko's regime, on Russia, because, this geopolitical crisis in our region is very, urgent. But I see how propagandists, they are boosting these messages that all sanctions are harmful for people, they don't hit dictators, and we need to give data, concrete data, how sanctions are harmful for the regime.
You mean like targeted sanction?
Targeted sanctions, specifically on the regime businesses, on the pockets of the regime. So, and when this society want changes, when society want democracy, they really can allow to experience maybe worse conditions of lives, but if the goal is to get rid of dictatorship, they're ready for this.
Exactly.
Because they need, It's very important to deliver these narratives, these messages to democratic leaders, to give concrete data so it influences their decisions a lot.
We will get back to sanctions and how we ask. There are a lot of even more challenging debate in that, how to weaken dictators, because sometimes we have to face the reality, especially when we see dictators are slaughtering their people. In some countries, when people take to the street, they just get killed. Like in Iran, only in 3 days, my sister, 1,500 people got killed. Like in Venezuela, Maduro is slaughtering people, killing people. And in some case, leaders might hesitate to support the elimination of dictators. I know this is very challenging. I know this is maybe some people believe it's radical. But in our case, when the US government killed Qasem Soleimani, the high-ranking member of Revolutionary Guards, who was in charge of killing Syrian, Iraqi, innocent people, and Iranians, a lot of people took to the street and celebrated that. So you know what I mean? if we don't take dictators or terrorists out, they will take the lives of innocent people. So how about like military action against dictators? Would you or Belarusian activists or activists and dissidents from Latin America, Asia, Middle East support that?
In our country, we are a very peaceful nation. I really think that peaceful changes are more sustainable. And of course, we don't want Belarusian people, nation, to die because of dictators. Of course, we are trying to use more diplomatic efforts and the efforts of pressure on the regime to change their behavior. And of course, in different countries, the struggle is different. But in our case, I don't see such scenario when Belarusians will rise up with weapon. I remember how in 2020 it was our huge revolution in Belarus, and it was peaceful revolution, and there were debates. Maybe we have to be more violent against the regime, but in this case, I think violence from the side of the people would justify the violence from the side of the regime. I think that dictators are waiting sometimes that people will take weapons.
Definitely. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for people to use violence. In this case, I'm specifically asking about like targeted military action to take dictators' life. Like, you know what I mean? Qasem Soleimani, the leaders of Revolutionary Guards, was in charge of chemical attack against Syrian activists. Or I'm talking about Maduro. Some of the leaders were asking that if the US government now put bounty, there's now publicly President Trump administration announced that there is a bounty if anyone arrests Maduro. So these kind of things, I believe that is very challenging. Sometimes leaders whispering about that. But in some countries, I'm not welcoming war, not welcoming violence. But it's like if specifically dictators being limited to travel abroad, being limited to live a life when they actually kill innocent people. I know this is very challenging, but that was my point. For instance, would you welcome if the Western countries say that we want to arrest Lukashenko, or we will take his life because he is killing innocent people?
I think about arrests, yes. I think that in case dictators are traveling abroad, and they are given this arrest warrants, they have to be arrested. But I think that everybody deserves justice. And I think it's up to courts to decide, the fate of every person. Because if we are ready to kill even those whom we don't like or who himself killing other people, so what the difference then between us and them?
I love the way that you're very powerful and self-confident about justice. And that's why maybe your weapon as a leader in Belarus was actually running for presidential election. Tell me about that, because you use this as a weapon. Like dictators were saying that, okay, we arrested your husband, you are a housewife. I think this was the way they tried to dismiss you. Dictator in your country called you a housewife, but you believe that this battle is like your weapon and you mobilized all the youth and you won the election. Tell me about that. What actually was in your mind to run for a presidential election instead of your husband?
That I'm called accidental president because I was never in politics. But when my husband decided to challenge a dictator and wanted to run for presidency and was immediately imprisoned for this, I just asked myself, he's my husband, he's my beloved. What can I do for him at this very moment? How to support him? And I brought my documents to Central Election Commission. You can register me instead of him. And they did it. I think that they did it they wanted to humiliate me because I'm housewife. How can people vote for housewife?
Wow.
So, and it was so unexpected for the regime that people really united around, maybe not around personality, not around me, but around idea of changes that I was promoting.
Did your husband knew about it when he was in prison? Did he knew that you were going to run for president?
Masih, I was like his housewife. I was his wife at that moment. I was worrying about him because I knew what politics in Belarus mean, and we have never discussed this. It was my personal decision.
Wow.
Was like very immediate. I didn't have anybody beside to consultate with, but it was like from heart. So I think that's. When life puts you into circumstances where you have to make, powerful decisions, you just do it.
Yeah.
You don't have other options, in this situation. So it was very organic for me.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely didn't have any experience in this. I just jumped in, the same as Belarusian people. People have never been politics, but they wanted freedom so much, independence so much, that they went to the streets, fearless.
Yeah. But you call yourself, or other people maybe call you, accidental president or accidental politician. But I'm going to be very honest with you. Those who even had the experience of political activities, like Maria Corina Machado, the leader of the opposition in Venezuela. I just recently had a conversation with her in my podcast. She was like, the moment that she was deciding to run for president, she was saying that, I thought about my kids. I thought about my children. This is something that maybe men barely think about it, but she was thinking about how not putting them in danger or protecting them. And then she was like, yeah, my children were supportive. I don't know how old are your children. So tell me about this as a mother. How did you face this kind of challenge? Because dictators have no mercy for family, for children as well. Talk to me about that, my sister.
Actually, I have to say that I'm so pleased also to talk to Maria recently.
Yeah.
She's a powerful woman, the same as you are. And I see that many women are really dedicating their lives, to the struggle for the whole nation, because it's about the future of their children in particular, not their personal children, but the children in general. And, in 2020, of course, it was huge, pain to think that if my husband is in jail, if I'm jailed as well, my children will be sent to orphanage. So it was my decision to send them preliminarily out of the country, just in case I'm in jail, they will be safe. So, but of course, regime plays very, good with these women emotions, because when I was kidnapped by KGB, and they told me that you have to leave the country, otherwise we will find your children, we will punish them for your actions, and you have to leave the country because you cannot stay here. And maybe it's a shame, but at that moment I chose my internal mother chose children. I decided to flee the country, to have possibility to continue this fight from abroad, but not being jailed, because free you can do much more than just sitting in a cold cell, having no rights. So, but of course, children is powerful instruments of blackmailing for dictators.
Women in my country, women in authoritarian regimes, normally they don't raise to be a political leader. It's not just about you. A lot of countries, women are being second-class citizens. So you actually, you were born in a small village, correct?
Yeah.
And your life was impacted by Chernobyl. Well, I want to know about first of all, your childhood, because when I grew up in a small village in authoritarian regimes, I didn't have any image of women fighting for freedom or democracy or feminism, equality, nothing. Nothing. So for me, it was just reading books or even like cartoons in my childhood, giving me picture of different society, like different world, that women can be free, women can be bosses, women can be, you know what I mean? So tell me about
Yeah.
your childhood. How was your childhood? And I want to know about the transition. That's why it is important to know about your story, your mother, your parents, and your time growing up in a small village.
No, I have the same situation as you. Nobody thought about, this high values, freedom, democracy. Just lived your small life. But I think that values that your family invested into you, contributed into you, the value of human dignity, that you have to take care about other people. They just, you brought this feeling, through all your life. In Belarus also, people have never discussed values. They have never discussed, human rights or democracy. We didn't know what it is because we never had an opportunity to compare what is democracy, what is dictatorship. We lived as we could live, and I think internet played a huge role in development of any nation, because you can see how other nations live.
But in our childhood and your childhood, we were not able to access internet. Like I remember that reading like books at school were telling me that Americans are monsters. Like people in the West, they are wild. Yeah, trust me. It was like we had to say death to America, death to United Kingdom, death to all European countries. But secretly reading, watching American cartoons, reading American books, reading, not American, reading like history of free world, like opened my eyes. That's why actually when I was very young, I got arrested when I was a teenager because of reading forbidden books. I want to know that how life looked like in Soviet Belarus for you and your fellow, classmates in your childhood.
Actually, you're right. Internet came rather late in Belarus. It was already after 2000. And in school, we were like obedient pupils, like obedient children. Nobody maybe taught us how to analyze, how to compare. We just read the books that were ordered to read by regime. You didn't have access to foreign newspapers or like foreign media. Only maybe later Radio Free Europe appeared, some broadcasting from abroad, alternative newspapers maybe sometimes. But of course it always the same as with your experience. We always were told that it's rotten West. Their values are rotten. Our nation is the best. Yes, you live rather bad. Our economic situation is not very good, but it's much better to live in Soviet, mood, because liberty is something very dirty, something like this. Wow. So when we grew up in this environment and even didn't dare, to think about better future. It was good experience for many Belarusian children. Of course, Chernobyl, it was disaster, but it gave opportunity for children to travel to different countries according to Chernobyl programs. For example, when I was 14, I visited Ireland for the first time, Europe. I couldn't imagine that there are societies where people smile into each other, where people are happy, where people enjoy wonderful clothes or eating tasty food, because we didn't have all this in Belarus. And it maybe is the first time when you started to think there is a difference. Wow. It's not rotten. It's such, I remember how for the first time I tasted ketchup or Pringles. We have never had this in Belarus, so that's why you start maybe unconsciously think and compare and analyze that something is wrong with the place where you live. So, many children at that moment managed to travel to see Germany, Italy, And it also like influenced their way of thinking.
I got goosebumps. It's after disaster, after Chernobyl, you had the opportunity to experience freedom, like a normal life, let's put it that way. And then you decided, I think that helped you to become a teacher, correct? English teacher.
Yes, I was studied as English teacher in the university. Maybe it influenced. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, how did that help you? Like what being a teacher help you for transition from a maybe housewife, as the dictator said, to a leader? Or no, that was like one tool because you knew English.
Maybe being a teacher didn't help me a lot in this transformation, political transformation, because maybe language helped me to communicate very fast with democratic Western world on their language. But I think I had very big lesson in my life. My older child, my older son is a child with the personal needs. And it took me 10 years to rehabilitate him. So every day I have been working with him, trying to reach the goal, normality. And I didn't know if this difficult way of rehabilitation will bring me to the results. I didn't know when the light at the end of the tunnel will appear, but I knew that every day I have to work hard to save my child. The same with fighting against dictatorship. You don't know when dictatorship will be dismantled, when changes will come to a country. But every day you have to work hard to raise attention about the problem, to raise attention about political prisoners, loss of independence, so on and so forth. And it just, it made me rather sustainable in difficulties.
Yeah. When you were talking about experiencing normal life, it just came to my mind that I was not a teenager or child when for the first time I experienced freedom. And my sister, it was Lebanon, the country, neighbor. My first experience was I went there and then I didn't cover my hair because I was not forced to cover my hair. And then immediately when I saw the police walking path, I got scared, looking for my headscarf to cover my head. And I was like, no, here it's okay. All women are unveiled. And it was wow, even in free land, I had this, I got panic. And still, many times you won't believe me. When police follows me in the street, I feel wow, here police are protecting me. But in my country, when police follows me, it means that they want to kill me. So when I have this freedom here, I feel the guilt in my burden that my people don't have this freedom. So now when you are advocating for people in Belarus, people in authoritarian regimes, but you enjoy freedom in the West, you're meeting with leaders, you're meeting with fellow activists, you're meeting with journalists, with media. When you see freedom, do you have this I don't want to say that, but do you have this feeling, the guilt that I am free, but people who join me and my campaign in the street, they go to prison?
I think that this kind of guilt is always with me, because you understand that for simple actions, for subscribing on free channels or reading honest news or supporting Ukraine or saying a word against Lukashenko is straight path to prison in the country. And that is why, I understand why I want to reach this freedom for everyone in Belarus. This is my engine, in me, who's pushing me forward.
I love that, because
I want every person in Belarus to feel that, as you say, police is protection, not punishment, that government is taking care of people, not of their pockets. And just to understand it, you have to experience this. And, one of our mission, I suppose, myself, Maria Machado, also to explain to people who live in free world, the like value of freedom.
Exactly.
Because very often they forget, they don't realize that people are sacrificing their lives and their freedom for these values, and they sometimes even like don't understand. They sometimes even don't believe you that such what atrocities are people experiencing in Belarus or Iran or Afghanistan, and it's very important to remind them that you have to cherish what you have.
Exactly. Look, the thing that I want to tell you, it's something very brutal and it's really difficult that I don't want to sometimes think about it or talk about it. But the regime in my country brought like 51 people on state television, including my own family, to denounce me, to disown me, to say like nasty words about me, that Masih lives miles away from Iran in America, safe, shelter, and making money, but she's calling you to go to the street. And that kind of guilt is a tool in the hand of the regime, try to actually put on you and tell you that you are the problem. So but what gave me the power to not break because of the guilt on my shoulder was the brave women. They were like going on TV denouncing me, but publicly, immediately when they go free from prison, talking publicly about it, that we did that to just get out of jail, but I have agency. I made decision myself, and Masih is just echoing our voice. Masih is just giving us voice. So what gives you hope? Because I saw your picture with Maria. Tell me the story, because I see that how you hold hand with women. Is this something that gives you power to overcome the guilt, the fear, the doubt? For me, women in my country.
Honestly, I have like discovered bravery in myself and women of Belarus also in 2020, because it was the women of Belarus who stood in front of the police with nothing but flowers and dignity. In Iran, women are moving hijabs, despite knowing that they may be beaten or killed. From Belarus to Iran, women are not only part of democratic struggle, they are leading it. And I think that actually authoritarian regimes are like, they fear women because a woman with courage is stronger than a man with a gun. And our role of women is no more symbolic. It is it's strategic. It is essential. It's unstoppable, and dictators fall when women rise. I think so. And this power of women, also give me such strength that we are not just, shadow of our men. Exactly. We are like leading these processes. And honestly, for this this 5-year political path, I really met so many powerful women. Yes, many of them are in democratic world, but it's so important to see how women of the world supporting women who are struggling. Yeah. For example, I think that you also can name plenty of names like Roberta Metsola or Kaya Kallas, Ursula von der Leyen, or Senator Shaheen, Masih Madeleine Albright, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I have met so many women whose hearts really bleeding, for women who are dying, who are suffering, but continue to fight.
We need a women coalition, and I think this is very, very important to find like-minded women and create a female-led political front, because I'm telling you, my sister, a lot of time we have been told, mostly by men, that women cannot work together. You know that, like women are jealous. Women are pushing each other back behind the boundaries. Women are doing this. No. I have seen, as you said, in Belarus, women holding hand. Your image, like holding hand with women, creating a female-led coalition, inspired us. A lot of time when, as you see, women burning headscarves in Iran, or when I'm telling you the story of women denouncing me on TV, but going on their own social media and saying that, hey, this is the regime should feel guilty, not us women echoing each other's voice, holding each other's hand. So maybe time has come for women like you to create a female-led coalition and unite all women across authoritarian regime to work together. But as you said, with democratic women, what do you think about this?
Of course, women have to be loud for each other, especially when our voices are silent. We must show up when others, look away. And I think that coalition of such women is a fantastic idea. We have to stand together for women of Iran, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Belarus, because your fight is our fight. In our perception, solidarity is not just a word. It's a network.
It is a
network of trust, sharing tactics, for example, amplifying our personal stories, opening doors for each other. So we have to build, of course, this our own international alliance of women who refuse to live under dictatorship. Fantastic idea. You are so creative. You are so pushy. So take this idea in your hand. Masih, I know that you achieve everything.
Okay, I will definitely reach out to you and Maria Corina Machado and a lot of female leaders that you named. We need to create this female-led coalition. I'm telling you why. My sister, dictators have different tools to spread misinformation, disinformation, dictators are working together to train each other how to use military weapons, technology surveillance. You made it clear that there is a network of dictators. And that's why it is necessary to have a network of leaders, network of freedom fighters, which we actually created, World Liberty Congress, where we united dissidents from 56 authoritarian regimes. But here we are. I feel like women are receiving different attacks and bullies from dictators. I want to give you an example about my case. I was just watching Iranian state television saying that Masih was raped by 3 men in front of her son. First of all, my sister, that was a misinformation. But second of all, if I was raped, it was not my fault. But you see the mindset of dictators? So they actually shared a porn video of me. Guess when? That was the time when I was with you on a stage at Davos conference. Mm-hmm. Immediately when I came out, a porn video was everywhere. And the journalists, instead of asking me about my participation in Davos conference, they were asking about my porn video, sex video. So immediately I realized that, wow, it's just because I'm a woman, I'm receiving these attacks. I started to talk about it. Then I found women from Azerbaijan. One of my fellow dissidents, Bhuta, were telling me the same story. I found women from Hong Kong. I found women from Afghanistan being attacked by the same narrative that you are a corrupted woman, you are a whore, oh, you were raped. And I was like, wow. Now when I see that my fellow activists and dissidents from other authoritarian regimes being like under sexually harassment attack online, downplaying like housewife. So women receive different kind of bullies in society and online. So tell me about Belarusian dictators. What kind of tactic they use to actually attack women, especially women like you who believe that women can work together, women can stand together. How they try to divide you women and how they attack you personally as a woman.
No, I think that dictators sharing all their tactics, their aim is to demonize leaders and to show them in very bad light. Yeah. For example, in my personal case, while my husband was in prison, they always fed him with information that I'm cheating with other men, that I'm pregnant from different men, that I forgot about him, I'm not waiting for him, so on and so forth. And it's only a strong person can have power not believe, this propaganda. For other people, they say that democratic forces stealing money. They buying, penthouses for themselves. They're traveling, they don't take care of you. They just want, people to mistrust, to disbelieve in our fight. And, it's much more easier, to humiliate women using this, sexual aspect, or you are a bad mother, you are different things. So, but I think that, societies that, want changes, that they believe in their fight, they will not be able to be poisoned by these narratives.
Wow.
And I'm always, look, Masih, I'm very calm always about these, blames, because my conscience is is honest. I know that I haven't done anything wrong.
I love that. Okay, let me ask you about your tactic. You're always calm. I'm always angry. I always fight with them. You know what I did when I actually in Davos, when I say goodbye to you, when I saw the news all over, I got almost panicked, because as soon as I saw the porn video everywhere, I was like, oh my God, because I saw a curly, massive hair like me engaged in sex. And I called my husband immediately and I was like, did you see our sex video is out? I was almost having a heart attack. And my husband was like, darling, I checked that as well. I saw the news. I checked that. This is not us. Come back home. We're going to make better one. And guess what? I went out, and then when journalists ask me questions, Ms. Alinejad, the sex videos, I said, we're going to go back home. We're going to make better one. That's not us. Next question. And guess what? I was like, yeah, we have to make fun of them. We have to mock them. That became my tactic, to how to downplay them, to make jokes, to make satire. So now you say you're calm. Tell me about your tactic when you see bullies, misinformation, fake news, how you and your husband deal with that.
Masih, I'm really so inspired by you. I also would like to be so energetic, to be so pushy, but I'm a different type of a person. And I prefer when regime is provoking me with misinformation, with some humiliation, I just keep calmness. I'm silent. I'm not responding to these provokes. You are barking like dogs there. I'm continuing my path. So I'm not reacting. So that's why, I have to learn from you, honestly speaking, but
we have to learn from each other. Maybe your calmness make them angry. Maybe your tactic is trying to keep the narrative, because my sister, you're right. Sometimes they provoke you to create wrong narrative, to take your focus away from the real story. And dictators are really, really good about this. So I'm going to learn from you as well. But let me ask you a different question. You won the 2020 election. And now you're telling me that your husband is free from prison and you both are fighting for other political prisoners. My question is very straightforward. This time, is it you going to run for a presidential election or your husband? Because he was the main person on his YouTube channel. He announced that he's going to challenge the dictator in your country. And because he got arrested, you started to run for president. And now you met with the leaders of free world. You mobilized the people in your country. What is the position of your husband and how are you going to deal with this? Who's going to support who this time?
The real aim of freedom fighters is not to become president of the country. It's just to bring your country to the changes. I think it's the goal is to give people instrument to vote freely and honestly, that nobody will beat people for their choice, for their voice. So I promised people in 2020 that I'm not going to run for presidency, next time. I don't know about my husband, intention now. He says that no, I'm not going, but they are men. They might have ambitions. So, but at the moment, until we're not at that point where elections are possible, our fight is different. But the right of people to choose freely, this is like major, point of our fight. I think that every person can serve to the country, not being president of this country. So I will try to contribute into the development of Belarus. I will give all the contacts, the agents of democratic forces to freely elected next president.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, my sister. I'm not going to challenge you here then. So let's just move on. You were the one, you have built a united transitional cabinet, a government in waiting. That's a dream of many Iranians, many dissidents and activists from authoritarian regimes. Because we both know that dictators are really good at dividing their opposition by spreading fake news, misinformation. So it's very difficult to keep unity when living in exile, when living in such war, when you get bombarded by dictators, trying to divide you. Tell me about it. How do you remain how did you do that first, and how do you deal with division among opposition from exile?
Masih, we all understand that you cannot sometimes make proper decisions immediately, because when our revolution started and I was in exile, and some people advised me, we have to build structures. I told, no, we are going to return home in 2 months. Our revolution will begin. So I couldn't imagine that I will live in exile so long time, that we will need some structures, that we'll need some institutions. But when it became evident that our uprising, our path is not a sprint, it's marathon, I realized that we need to strengthen our agency. And I decided to build this understandable system of alternative power. We have office of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, office of president-elect. We have a united transitional cabinet as proto-government, and we have coordination council as proto-parliament. We are starting to live in democracy, because democracy is rather difficult to live in. We have to study not to quarrel, but to debate. We have to think how to restrict these attempts of the regime to split us, because regime wants us, to discuss small problems, interpersonal relationship, but not strategic goals. And it's rather difficult, especially when the fight is rather long. People sometimes are tired. People feel this, famous fatigue. People want to live their lives. People accommodate to new circumstances and obstacles. Children go to school in exile, and you just don't understand. Do you have to unpack your suitcases already or not yet? And doing businesses, so on and so forth. And it's sometimes difficult to keep people together. But I think that we managed to build such network or system of communication and coordination that is really working very good. And we managed to formalize relationship with the international institutions, with the countries, USA, European Union, so on and so forth. And I'm so proud that leaders or activists of other movements are coming to us asking, how did you manage to achieve this or that? And I understand that we should be proud of this institution build.
I'm not going to touch anything. I'm a troublemaker. When I touch anything, I ruin it. Hey, actually, I discovered something. Both these troublemakers were born in September 11.
Yes.
I
always remember that we have date birth, one date birth. So very soon I will be 43, and you?
I'm going to be 49. And my son is 29 years old. And guess what? He looks older than his age. When we walk in the street, he's like, Mom, I'm saying, don't call me Mom. Because then people might think to be honest, I feel like I'm 29 years old as well. Magic happens when it comes to mothers.
I think in Saul you are 17, in your appearance you are 25.
Yeah. You know what? My inner child is alive, because otherwise I couldn't survive all these struggles, all these sorrows. It has been 15 years, my sister, that I haven't hugged my mom, I haven't hugged my brother. And that's how dictators are trying to break you, you know?
Yeah. You're
like
right.
When I was talking to Maria Corina Machado, she's been away from now her children, her daughter, and that's not easy. So that's why when I ask, how do you deal when you see the struggle is endless? How do you go?
Look, first of all, I can't admit idea that our struggle is endless. There is end, and this end is bad for dictators. I know that I'm not alone in this fight. I really see and feel support of Belarusians, see and feel support of democratic societies, but also other nations who are fighting for freedom and for independence, you know, for their countries. So I know that, it's not easy. Nobody says that, it's, fight for democracy is very often romanticized. Mm-hmm. It seems, wow, they're fighting for freedom. They're so fearless, but it is paved with pain and tears and sufferings. And you want to shout about this, you want to explain everybody what dictatorship is, that you don't understand how it is to live in this gulag, in these Stalin's times. But it's your responsibility. You just put your strength, together and continue.
You said that
there is no general receipt, how to continue your fight. But when you're not alone, when you feel the shoulders, of other people beside you, you're just going on.
You said that a lot of people don't understand the pain and the struggle of being a dissident from authoritarian regimes. Yeah, that's true. But we have first-hand experience. What actually makes me sometimes frustrated when I don't see concrete actions from democracies. In your case, it's different. You've been successful many times. But when I, for instance, meet with the leaders of democratic countries in the West, they promise something. They recognize the revolution in Iran, the women-led revolution. And next time I see their pictures shaking hands with the same dictators, it is beyond sad. And I feel frustrated. I don't know how to explain to people in my country that this is, again, they care more about nuclear deal, negotiating with dictators, rather than empowering democratic movement within the country. How do you do when you see that sometimes dictators are successful and they will manage to get back democratic countries on negotiation table?
The power of dictators is that they are long-staying people in politics. In democratic countries, politicians are changing, and every dictator thinks that the next one might be, less democracy-oriented, more business-oriented. I will wait. I will survive. I will suppress people. I will keep this grip, on people. I will wait. Of course, people cannot wait because people are in prisons, because our beloved are suffering. And it's very important that the people of the world understand that democratic leaders have to support those who are fighting for their values, their rights as well. And And I honestly think, I think that democracy is changing as well. They also understand that playing with dictators lead to dead end.
Exactly.
While appeasing dictators, while trying to re-educate dictatorship coming closer and closer to democracy.
We should end dictators. I mean, if we don't end dictators, they will definitely get united and end democracy everywhere, as you said. And, I had a conversation with Ambassador Mark Wallace, the U.S. ambassador at the United Nations, in the podcast. And then he actually showed the drone being sent by the Islamic Republic to the Russian government at the United Nations. So basically, he wanted to mobilize the democratic countries around his cause against the alliance of dictators. So basically, we see that how dictators are more united than democratic countries. Tell me about Belarus. I mean, because I have a picture in my mobile. I saw that. I'm not sure whether you see this or not. This is the dictator from my country, Pezeshkian, meeting with the dictator of Belarus. That makes me furious. They don't have anything in common. Religious, different. Everything. The political views, different. But they have one thing in common: crushing democracy, hating the universal value, democratic values. But they're helping each other. Tell me how the Belarusian dictators and Iranian dictators are working together. They're providing weapons for each other?
Of course, dictators are like taking experience of each other, of course, and now they are trying to make more connection on different deals, especially military deals.
Yeah.
They want to intensify the war capacity, the military capacity. I think that the regime is buying stuff from Iran. Iran might, invest into Belarusian military economy, for example. We don't know the peculiarities, of this meeting, but seeing two dictators together is not a surprise for me. Like Putin, Lukashenko, or like other dictators, North Korean and the Belarusian. Because it's normally that they are shaking each other's hands because nobody else in democratic world shaking their hands. They don't want to communicate. So they want to show that they're together, they are power, and we want to fight this rotten democracy. Of course, it's disgusting, but this is the only relationship they have.
My dream is to invite you as the president of Belarus to my beautiful country and shake your hand and hug you. I want to invite you to see the brave women of Iran and the beautiful face of my people in Iran. They're absolutely different than these evils. And my dream is to come to your beautiful Belarus when it's free. So what is going to take us there? Because I don't want to leave just having a dream. Tell me, what is going to lead us to be there? Because I saw you meeting with every single leaders in democracies. Name them. You met with all of them. I'm not sure whether you're going to meet with President Trump or not. But what is going to help us? The democratic countries are still negotiating with the killers in my country. So is there any hope for you that very soon we will see a free Belarus, free Iran? Because right now, more than 70% of global population living under authoritarian regimes. Why? Because dictators are really backing each other, really supporting each other, providing everything like technology surveillance, weapons, as you said, sharing different experience to oppress any uprising. Is there any hope for all of us who care for freedom?
I see it's a very difficult question. And I think that every person who is fighting for democracy asking this question to him or herself. I think that nations, people cannot win only with hope. while you are sitting on the sofa and hoping, the country will not change. But if you work every day, if you participate in initiatives, even if you don't believe into a video where Masih, is is doing like wrong things, it's also your contribution into fight. Don't allow dictators to poison you with these rotten narratives.
Exactly.
Don't allow dictators to say that you are nobody, you cannot do anything, you will never win, this dictatorship. Don't lose this belief in yourself. You can do small steps. Given €1 to support political prisoners, every month. Or go to the rallies in support of Iranian women. Or I don't know.
Is this your, if you want to, honestly, if you want to just send one message to the young women that are listening to you and me, one message, what would be the message?
To every woman who is watching this, whether you are in Belarus or Iran or anywhere else where freedom is still a dream, know that you are already powerful. Even if they try to silence you, cover you, jail you, break you, they are afraid of your strength, of your voice and your dreams. And they should be afraid of you. You are not too young. You are not too small. You are not alone in this fight. And every dictatorship fears a brave young woman as you. They're afraid of you more than any army. So speak, study, and dream boldly. And I think that because the future...
You are living the dream of millions of women. Guess why? Because when you say yourself that you didn't even know what is different between the European Parliament, between the EU, between the White House, and that, when you yourself say that I was an accidental president or politician, that means that every single housewife watching you, every single teacher watching you, every single ordinary woman watching you, they can say that when Sviatlana could actually mobilize people and become a nightmare for dictator in Belarus, then I can be the same nightmare for dictators across the globe. So thank you for being brave. And I know, my sister, it's not easy. Recently, I changed something on my bio saying that, because I don't want people to believe that we are a strong woman. We always we are fearless. It's not. Sometimes we have fear inside us. Sometimes we really get scared. When I see that the killers were in front of my garden with gun to kill me, when you were kidnapped by dictators, of course it's scary. But your message is beautiful. You can overcome your fear. When dictators are after you, it means that they're scared of you. So thank you so much. And I really, really want to hug you in free Belarus, in free Iran. Thank you for overcoming your fear and sending beautiful message to the young women watching us. If there is anything that I haven't asked you or forgot asking you, please say that. And then we're going to say goodbye to everyone watching us.
It was fantastic conversation. Thank you, Masih, for saying these messages to other women, to the world, and the world will hear you. Thank you so much. Love you, my sister.
Of course. Together we are stronger, my sister. See you maybe very soon in different part of the world when we both advocating for 1 million political prisoners across the globe, including 1,000 in Belarus and thousands of innocent political prisoners in Iran. Because I know this is now your mission alongside with your amazing husband. Thank you so much. And bye for now. Compulsory hug.